And welcome inside the backstage pass. A little technical difficulties, but we got started a little bit after 4 o'clock today. But we're here nonetheless, too, as well. Again, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and the Caden Gordon Show.com. Today's best country mix. And of course, our friends at Jewelry by Tommy, too, as well. More on them coming up throughout the broadcast as we count down to Country Radio Seminar coming up February 28th to March 1st. We'll be there live in Nashville, Tennessee. Beautiful Music City. And boy, we got some surprises for you guys, including our remote live broadcast at the Wild Beaver Saloon coming up there March the 1st from 6 to 10, which will be streamed live here on the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and, of course, KKTC True Country 99.9 and our friends at HighTideCountry.net. Pleased to welcome in. They call him a playboy. We got him here on the backstage pass here. Eric Diamond to the show. Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Man, pretty good. Like I said, sun's shining. It's good weather in Texas. Not too bad.
Yeah, we're having some pretty nice weather here in New Mexico. Beautiful blue skies and sunshine today as well.
Good deal, my friend. Well, I tell you what, I love your old school sound, man. This album makes me think a lot just of the greats that I grew up listening to: Waylon Willie, Merle Haggard, and just Keith Whitley and everything. There's a little bit of something for everybody on this album, but let's talk about your background to get started. The background when music kind of made that personal connection. I want to hear that story when you were, a great age there too, and you said, you know what, I'm going to take this from a hobby and make this into a career. When did you have that connection with music?
Well, I grew up in a home where Johnny Cash was played, Patsy Cline, Marty Robbins, Jim Reeves, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, and many others. Both my parents were music lovers. I was drawn to music at a very young age, 5 years old or something. I began singing at the age of 10 in the choir, and I started singing country music at a very young age. Anytime I'd get an opportunity. When I was 15 years old, I was in the Jimmy Dean Country Showdown, made it to the regional finals. When I was 16, I did the same thing with the Charlie Daniels Country Showdown. I landed my first paying job at the age of 15. I worked in weekend bands and throw together bands, and occasionally we'd land a wedding or a Wednesday night job or a Sunday afternoon job. I did that for all through my teenage years. And then when I was in my early 20s, I went to work with my first road band. I was working for a band leader named Bobby Francis, who had worked for John Conley during the Rose-Colored Glasses era. The name of the band was Cowtown Swing. We were based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. I worked with that band for 5 years. A few guys in the band, two guys in the band, after 5 years, decided they wanted to go different directions. One was going back to college to get a degree, and I can't remember what Rick was going to do, but I was the youngest guy in the band. I was 21, 22 years old. Everybody else was in their 30s and 40s. So that was 5 good years there working solid with a traveling band. And then after that, I went to Durango, Colorado for the summer, and I just did a duo with a guitar player from Denton, Texas, named David LeDuc, that had gone to the Guitar Players Institute of Technology out in California. We played all summer long, doing a duo during the day, and then we had a house band with a 5-piece band. We had a house band job on Sundays, and then we would play Fridays and Saturdays also with a different band. We did that, saved up our money, and then packed our bags and moved to Nashville. I ended up landing a songwriting deal in Nashville with Ronnie Stoneman from the television show Hee Haw, but I wasn't really a songwriter. I just kind of lucked into that deal. And it was very short-lived because I had family matters back home. I was in Nashville for about a year, had to leave Nashville, come back west. I ended up being a high school basketball coach for 2 years, and kept my chops up and did some music down in Santa Fe every opportunity I got in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then I got a phone call from David Blanchard, Bondad Dave. He was the band leader for a band called the Midnight Rose Band. And Dave and I had worked together in a lot of throw together bands in the past. He called me up and said, "Hey, we got 27 nights booked, and our front man, lead singer, packed his bags in the middle of the night and went home to Louisiana. Can you help us out?" And I said, "Sure." I got myself together. That was on a Friday night. I said, "I'll be there Monday." I had 27 nights turned into 3 years that I toured and played with that band. And then I landed a job as an in-house entertainer. I actually started out as a security guard. In 2 weeks, they moved me to floor manager. And once they discovered I was a singer and a dancer, I was an in-house entertainer. And I got to perform with all the national traveling road acts for a year. I met a lot of phenomenal musicians that were playing with the best bands in the country, playing the A-room circuit. I put a Rolodex together. 12 months later, I formed my own band, Eric Diamond and the Rocky Mountain Playboys. I know this is a long story. I'll try to make it as short as possible.
You're good.
So we ended up having a giant following locally in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. We got into 2 clubs that were agent only, without an agent. The club in Farmington, New Mexico, we got in just on reputation because we were just over the border in southern Colorado. And then a friend of mine, Czech Rippey, who played fiddle on the Grand Ole Opry and who had been a sideman for a major label artist, he got us in a club in Ruidoso that was an agent-only club called Wind, Place, and Show. That it was kind of, its claim to fame was that it had live country music 364 days a year. So anyhow, we ended up playing 77 nights there in 1999 and 56 nights there in 2000. And the agents were all wondering, who is this band that's, getting in these clubs without an agent? So a bunch of agents started contacting me. By the time it was all said and done, we had 13 national agents booking us, and we were working in 11 state region, going town to town, state to state for 6 years. We hardly had any time off. I looked at our old calendars somewhat recently, and at one point we did 39 weeks in a row without a week off. Yeah, that was the objective. One thing I've learned over the years in this business, which I've been in this business 42 years, 43 now, I just had a birthday, but you got to have the work if you're going to keep the pickers. And so that was my job, was to just get all the work I could and to keep everybody working, because as long as they were making money every week, they were happy and they were going to stick with me. So we worked like mad. We worked in New Mexico, Texas a little bit, extensively in New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, Nevada, Montana, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. We were just about to go into Canada, and we had 2 cruise lines that wanted to use us, Carnival and one other. I honestly can't remember. My father came down with cancer. My mother notified me. I was actually playing in Billings, Montana at the time. Mom called me up, said, "Hey, you might want to think about getting home. Your father's taking a turn for the worse." So we finished up the week, which we only had 2 or 3 nights left. I called all the agents, which I'd built a real good, not only a working relationship, but a real friendship with all these agents over the 6-year period. And I let them know, hey, don't give me anything else on the calendar. We will fulfill what is on the calendar, but nothing more for the time being. And I explained what was going on. Everybody was very understanding. I sat down with my band members. I had a little 10-acre horse farm in southern Colorado, and I was bringing in musicians from coast to coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast. And everybody lived on property. We all traveled together in a conversion van and pulling a trailer. I told the guys what was going on. They all knew my parents, and had become close to everyone. We were, not only were we a band, but we were very much a family. And I told the guys, you can stay and live here as long as you want, but I've got to go take care of my dad. So the piano player stayed for over a year, which was great, because he was the most responsible one in the band for sure, Rex Herring. And he took care of the place. And Ronnie Klein, the drummer, stuck around for a number of months. He ended up then working for Fiddlin' Frenchy Burke and for Doug Kershaw. The kid that was playing guitar for me at the time, Paul Bucks, he was a real up and coming hot guitarist. His father had played for Ernest Tubb. His father was a Texas troubadour. And so Paul immediately landed a job in Louisville, Kentucky. Another one of the band members immediately landed a job in Phoenix, Arizona. And at that point, I thought my career was over. I was 37 years old. I'd done it for 22 years straight. And Nashville's policy at that time was they wouldn't sign anybody over the age of 35. And really what they were looking for and what they were signing was 21 to 26-year-olds. And I was actually okay with that. A lot of my dreams had come true. Playing the A-room circuit was a goal and a dream of mine. And so when that happened, that was a thrill. Those were 6 wonderful years. And, you know, you're playing on average probably 5 nights a week, town after town, state after state. It was, I loved it. I loved living out of a suitcase. But then 15 years ago, I went to the Bob Wills Festival, big event that happens the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday of April every year. And the same thing happened in Texas that happened to me in Nashville many years prior. People noticed me as a dancer first because I actually dance 20 times better than I sing. So everybody wants to know your story. You know, who is this guy? And so they discovered I was a singer, and almost immediately they had me on stage. I've been performing at that festival for 15 years now. They have 4 stages there that have dancing, and then a spattering of other performance venues. And I've been able to sing at 3 of the 4 main stages in town. Hopefully I'll get the 4th one of these days and be a headliner at the big nighttime shindig. And a Hall of Fame fiddle player named Grady Smith noticed me at Turkey, Texas, and took a liking to me and a gentleman that had been playing steel guitar with me on the road for 4 years, Larry Bressington. We've played together now for 25 years. He's in the UK Country Music Hall of Fame, and he's also in the Nebraska Country Music Hall of Fame. So Grady got us both to join the Western Swing Society of the Southwest. Best thing that ever happened to me. I ended up meeting all these guys that had worked with George Strait, Ray Price, Hank Thompson, Roy Clark, Carl Smith, on and on. They liked what I was doing. They believed in me. They all helped me out so very much. And then we re-released an old album during the COVID that I had recorded at United Artists Tower back when I was with the Rocky Mountain Playboys. And that album took off. I won't go into great detail of how it all happened, but it took off. And I got contacted by the Academy of Western Artists. I was notified that my album was a top 10 finalist for Album of the Year, and that I was a top 10 finalist for Western Swing Album of the Year, or Male Vocalist of the Year. And then they cut the field down to 5 contestants in every category. And I made it to the top 5 in both categories and ended up winning the Western Swing Male Vocalist of the Year by the Academy of Western Artists. Wow. The album finished tied for 2nd for Album of the Year. And that was life-changing. 8 days later, I had 2 Nashville record labels wanting to sign me, smaller labels, and a 3rd label that I was on their radar. I ended up committing to Clarksville Creative Sound primarily because of the producer, Kurt Ryle, who had produced artists like Mel Tillis, Gene Watson, Vern Gosdin, Trisha Yearwood, Leanne Womack, Billy Ray Cyrus, Dean Dillon, et cetera, et cetera. He's a phenomenal producer. We put a new 12-song album out called Eric Diamond, All of Me. I was notified in October that it was the most played Western Swing album on radio in the world. We're up for 2 Ameripolitan Awards. We're up for Album of the Year and Western Swing Male Vocalist of the Year. We're up for 6 awards at the ISSA, which is the International Singers-Songwriters Association. We're up for 5 awards at the Red Carpet Awards in the Netherlands. And we finished in the top 5 for Cowboys Swing Album of the Year by the International Western Music Association. So the new album's taken off extremely well. We've almost paid the project off, and we didn't even we did the world premiere radio release on May 13th, which was when I got my hands on physical CDs to sell. And then we released it to all worldwide radio on May 15th. And we've sold just about $10,000 worth of albums in that small length of time. So we're excited about that. I am no longer with Clarksville Creative Sound. There were some things about the label that were a real disappointment for me. I'm currently in negotiations with 2 new record labels. Both are Sony Records affiliates. One of them is involved with Merle Haggard's son, Noel Haggard. I'm waiting for the contracts. We'll get everything checked out with an entertainment attorney. My manager, we will take a look at everything. Caden Gordon, you know him, I believe. And if everything's on the up and up, and if everything they tell me is true, this will be a dream come true for me. So I'm proceeding with caution. I had some bad experiences with my last record label, being misled and deceived and so forth. So I'm a little gun shy. But if this is a solid deal and the lawyers say everything checks out, then I will be signing a contract with the label. Yes, sir.
I think you're going to be fine. Like I said, congratulations on all the success. And I think everybody has to take that roundabout way. I want to go. I've had to do it on this show, this podcast. I know Caden very well. We've had conversations about the music business and about radio and about podcasting. So, yeah, it's luck is definitely people's side. But I guarantee you everybody's jumped through a lot of hoops there, Eric, to get to where they need to go. And we've all had bad experiences from some sort, some way, form or fashion. And we've learned, because I think you learn more through failure than you do successes, no doubt. But I got to take a time out here too as well and talk about this, because if I don't pay the sponsor bills, they're going to get mad at me here on the show too at the same time. Valentine's Day coming up too as well. Want you guys to be good to your spouse, friend, family member, significant other. You're looking for that perfect gift, the spouse, friend, or family member. Jewelry by Tommy's got you covered. Email burleysystem@yahoo.com. Today to order, Burley System, BUEHRLE system @yahoo.com. Today to order. Word from our other sponsors, Bangtail Whiskey out there too, and our friends at the CadenGordonShow.com too as well. Stay tuned. KKTC True Country 99.9 and our friends at HighTideCountry.net and powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com. Stay tuned.
The Caden Gordon Show. Today's best country mix is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Eric Diamond on the Backstage Pass. Of course, a little Western swing music, the latest album, They Call Me a Playboy. And I tell you what, man, I love that Western swing music out there too. Whoops, we lost him here on the show. We'll get him back here in a little bit too. It gives me time enough to say again, thank you to all the sponsors out there too. And thank you to everybody in Nashville for making this possible coming up Friday night, March the 1st. Looking forward to it right there at the Wild Beaver Saloon from 6 to 10. I mean, I say 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to get started a little bit early too. Live video stream out there with Nashville's best and brightest. And of course, I'll talk to some of the listeners here. It's going to be a great party out there too in Nashville, Tennessee during Country Radio Seminar. We'll be there broadcasting live from the Wild Beaver Saloon Friday, March the 1st, and streaming on our social media out there too, websites and everything too. All a part thanks in part to our friends at the CadenGordonShow.com and of course, Jewelry by Tommy and Bangtail Whiskey too. Jan, good to have you on part of the program. One of my avid listeners out there. Congrats on Vocalist of the Year, she says. And Marie too. Always good to have you here. Great interview. Love listening to the stories of success. And another one, Jan has a comment. You've got a lot of award nights coming up. Good luck for them all. And definitely Eric can get them done too as well, is what Marie says back there in the comments section too. So if you guys have the comments, we'll try to reconnect with Eric Diamond here on the show. Coming up in a little bit is Nicole Ray, an extremely fantastic Canadian country artist too as well. Looking forward to talking to Nicole here about 4:45 toward 5 o'clock today. But again, we're going to be there February 28th to March 1st at the Omni Hotel, doing some great interviews out there with the best and brightest country artists in the business. I can already tell you Scotty Hastings, Marin Taylor, Pryor Baird, and of course Shenandoah coming to a country radio seminar this year too as well. And of course Friday night there, March 1st, the Wild Beaver Saloon will be there too as well. And looking forward to that live remote. Myself, Alan Price, and of course hopefully get Kirsty Krause to join us. She'll be in Tampa that night playing a show as a musician, but hopefully Kirsty will join us on the video side of things. So hopefully we'll get a chance to reconnect with Miss Kirsty Krause here on the Backstage Pass. We'll try to reconnect with Eric Diamond. If we can't, we'll sign off here in just a little bit too as well. I was going to talk to him about They Call Me a Playboy, which is a fantastic album if you love Western swing out there too. Some great songs on there. Slide Off Your Satin Sheets, 4 in the Morning, After the Loving, Sioux City Sue. It's just a great album. And of course the title track, They Call Me a Playboy. And there's one called Wild Side of Life. And you really got to listen to this album too if you love Western swing music too. That old school, he's got a lot of vibe of what the late 80s to early 90s country music sounded like too. Some Merle Haggard kind of in there, some Waylon Jennings, maybe a little Conway Twitty, and a whole lot more there too as well. Again, They Call Me a Playboy from Eric Diamond out there too as well. We're going to sign off too. We'll try to reconnect with Eric here in a little bit. Wanted to talk to him a little bit more about the album here on the Backstage Pass. We'll actually take a timeout, pay our bills one more time here from our great sponsors too. I'll say Valentine's Day is coming up too as well. You guys need to hear about this too. It's around the corner. Looking for the perfect gift for your spouse, friend, or family member. Jewelry by Tommy's got you covered. You can email burleysystem@yahoo.com today to order. BUEHRLE system at yahoo.com for Jewelry by Tommy. We'll take a time out for our friends at Bangtail Whiskey, and of course out there too as well, the CadenGordonShow.com, today's best country mix. Make sure you guys check out Caden Gordon, and he has some great show out there on the East Coast in Boston, Massachusetts. So make sure you guys check it out. The Caden, Kayden, the CadenGordonShow.com for today's best country mix, and of course definitely interviewing some of the same artists we're interviewing here on the Backstage Pass. Quick timeout. We'll see if we can reconnect with Eric on the program. Eric Diamond here on the Backstage Pass. If not, we'll talk to you here in a little bit with Nicole Ray on the show. Stay tuned for more.
The Caden Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecadengordonshow.com. Again, that is thecadengordonshow.com.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by thesportsguyspodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by thesportsguyspodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Eric Diamond on the show. Perfect timing right there, too, as well. The latest album is, of course, out there. They Call Me a Playboy. That computer's playing tricks on you out there, right? So here on the show, Eric Diamond back here on the show again. A lot of great comments here. And, man, I'm sorry that computer's doing that to you. It's just a weird day for technology.
Oh, yeah.
The way it goes for computers, my friend. And it's happened all day long, too, as well. We got a few minutes left here in the show, so I'm going to cut right to it. I love this album. Tell me all about They Call Me a Playboy, too, as well, because some great songs. I was talking about some of them there as we're going to break, and I love it. I mean, After the Loving, 4 in the Morning, Slide Off Your Satin Sheets, of course, the title track, Sioux City Sue, Wild Side of Life. I mean, if people love Western swing, Eric, they're going to love this album.
Yeah, That was my first album. Really proud of it. We recorded it at United Artists Tower in Nashville. My band leader was Ellis Miller, who was a session player on the West Coast and played on, gold and platinum records for Red Sovine and other artists. Gene Breeden was his, good crony, good buddy, and was also a session player on the West Coast. Well, Gene ended up with a recording studio at United Artists Tower there in Nashville. That's how we made the connection. We were able to get a deal if we were willing to come in and record Christmas week, because nobody records Christmas week. So we got about a half off deal by doing that. All the musicians loved working on the album, and they verbalized that because, that's the kind of music they loved playing, grew up playing, and moved to Nashville to play. Then with the industry changing, they were not getting an opportunity to play that kind of music anymore. And they verbalized they were tired of playing the bubblegum country music, and they were thrilled to do this project. I was thrilled to have all those phenomenal players on the album. It's I recommend everybody, we're on all music platforms worldwide, both albums. Both albums are award winning. You can go to YouTube, type in Eric Diamond, All of Me, and it will take you to both albums. A song that you mentioned, 4 in the Morning, a lot of country music people know that song. I mean, it was a giant number one hit for Farron Young, and it was a waltz. Well, we had a guy that worked for Neil McCoy named Frank Anstead, was from my neck of the woods there in southern Colorado. And actually, he had come up with this arrangement of doing it as a kind of a big band swing production. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to record it that way because we had been doing it in our live show for several years. So we recorded that song, and boy, I'll tell you, all the old timers, all the Hall of Fame guys, Western Swing Hall of Fame guys, they've all come up to me and told me how much they liked that song. But a great story, Tony Smith called me, and he had played fiddle for Farron Young. He called me on the phone. He said, "Man, I love what you did with 4 in the Morning." He told me a very interesting, funny story. He said Farron would have loved this. He said Farron hated waltzes and did not want to record 4 in the Morning. That turned out to be his biggest number one hit, his biggest money maker, huge, game changer for him. But I thought that for Tony Smith to call me and tell me that story, I thought, that made me feel pretty good. And I thought that was an interesting story. But the album, top to bottom, is pretty solid. And if you like that album, I'll tell you what, you got to listen to the new album. Because okay. I really feel like the new album's even stronger. I really do.
It's good stuff, no doubt about it. Hey, definitely looking forward to having you back. Congratulations on all the awards and, of course, everything out there, too, at the same time, and the very recognizable music. But I want to get your opinion on this, and we'll do maybe a couple of rapid-fire questions. The thirst of this type of music, this 90s country, this Western swing, the Americana feel, the things that people grew up on. You mentioned CDs, vinyl records, things like that, which I love very much because I still collect them today. I still go to record stores, support artists through CD sales, and I know streaming has changed the landscape of it too. But how important is that for the industry to have your type of music and 90s country making this comeback?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't qualify any of his 90s country, but 80s and earlier.
True,
but
true.
So Western swing has always come and gone in cycles. Fortunately for me, it is very much climbing across the globe. It's gaining popularity, and I'm just riding the wave. It's headed towards the peak right now in the United States. It's giant all over Europe. I mean, we're being played in Germany, France, England, Ireland, Australia, Tasmania, even Africa. And then we're being played in all 50 states. So Western swing is a lot of people don't really know. They just think Western swing is traditional country music, which is what I thought when I was very young but Western swing is all jazz chords. It's very intricate music, a lot of stops, starts, shifts, punches. Asleep at the Wheel is kind of at the forefront in this music, but there's so many great artists. Jason Roberts and the Texas Playboys, Jody Nix, Rocky King, Kelly Spinks, Chuck Cusimano, Tommy and Jake Hooker. I mean, I hate to leave people out. The list is just, there's a bunch of guys in doing this music. Luckily, it's on the rise. Our audience still buys CDs like mad. I mean, I sold over 13,000 copies of They Call Me a Playboy. And this new album is selling extremely at a higher rate, actually, at a faster rate. So we will be doing a third album. Just it's not immediately, but with these new labels, they want me to do a third album, and it may happen the latter part of this year, 2024. Yeah, and it's dance music. It was all based, it was built upon dance. It originated out in the West Texas with the cotton farmers and the ranchers and barn dances and so forth. And, it's giant in Texas. It's big in Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, the whole West, the Dakotas, and it's spreading. I had a disc jockey in Michigan tell me that Western swing was on the rise. When you think Western swing, I don't really think of Michigan, but that was great news to me. A disc jockey in Georgia told me the same thing. So I'm glad that,
Tommy too,
it's
as well.
the truest American form of music. I'm glad that we're getting this exposure. I'm glad that it's being embraced, and I recommend all the folks here, if you're not already familiar with Western swing, get familiar with it. I think you're going to enjoy it.
It's a great album too. Well, I tell you what, They Call Me a Playboy is selling fast. Award-winning albums out there too. They don't make many like him. They call him that Playboy, and of course out there too as well. It's great across all those digital streaming platforms, and of course check him out on social media out there too. Eric, appreciate the time. Let's do this again, my friend. Looking forward to being in Nashville here in a few weeks, and best of luck with this new record deal. We appreciate you joining us too, and hey, congratulations on all the success and many more ahead.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We'll do it again anytime you want. And all the folks out in podcast land, follow me on Facebook, friend me on Facebook. If you want to buy an album, get a hold of me on Messenger. We'll make it happen.
There you go. Eric Diamond, the one, the only out there too as well. Coming up here in a little bit, Nicole Ray, a fantastic Canadian country artist, will join us here on the show. And of course, some big news coming up over the next few weeks. A country radio seminar will be there in Nashville, Tennessee, broadcasting live from the Omni February 28th to March 1st. And of course, March the 1st out there too as well. The Wild Beaver Saloon, live remote out there from 5:30 to 10 at the Wild Beaver Saloon. A host of artists are going to be joining us out there for one big party in Nashville, Tennessee. All of that possible made by Jewelry by Tommy, of course, and our friends, the CadenGordonShow.com, and out there at Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you guys back in a little bit with Nicole Ray. Stay tuned for a lot more. The Backstage Pass on KKTC True Country 99.9. And, of course, out there, HighTideCountry.net and powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Stay tuned.